The foolish man just makes a move and prays, oh, I believe it will be well. There are a lot of foolish Christians, my friends. Foolish born-again Christians who are believers and not thinkers. You lie to them, they believe it. You deceive them. You know the Christians, born-again Christians, are the easiest people to deceive.
PROTELEVISION share on YouTube. Bashra woba eya na wamia subscribe button follow yen. Share wadwen na afei so share ma wumia na onhwe bi se wade ase. Na pastor anase Dr. Mensa Otabil. Pastor Dr. Mensa Otabil. Oda ICGC ano. Na oye nkyerɛkyerɛ bi e wona sorry. Na nkyerɛkyerɛ no yehu bi no ne ase asɛm odi. Emu do na yebese ye ne Prudence ahwefo eche. Na samba kwa catch your attention pa and say na o chere efa nimdie wisdom na ye topic na o chere eye e Christopher anasenya member na no na Pastor Mensa Otabil e ka assembly say there are a lot of foolish Christians, in fact foolish born again Christians who are believers and not thinkers. See assembly. Or see there are a lot of foolish Christians. No sanka abiem say. Full in fact also or your specific say foolish born again Christians who are believers and not thinkers. You lie to them, they believe it. You deceive them, they believe it. Born again Christians are the easiest people to deceive. Or see born again Christians. A Christopher wa hu nyame foforo na wasachira wa madwen no. They are believers but not thinkers. Omo wo gidie e believe say nyame wo ho esum nyame. But ye ka obi a wo adwen na anadwum do wo nimdie ye de yibribi ema ye ho a wo ni bi. It is ankrofo no. Bibi obia petimi agiro mo anima de civis ankrofo. Osu obia so bia betimi agina sankrofo no anim aiden edisivium no. They are the easiest. Sa born again Christians, they are the easiest betimi edisivium. So most of the time he doesn't want to use the word foolish because it might sound say odi a Christopher na tem. But Bible no kura is so foolish our Bible. But that is the truth that there were a lot of born again Christians bebre woma sachiro ma dream be say gidi. But see ye dream near the ye bribi e dia boa ye ho ye dream sa ade we nipa ya asem a wokan as anya no kore nipa na asem no ka no as entisi so there be ti sankrofo no wo pe wo ma betimi e deceive o montam e wo nyamesuma e yo wo ma asachiro ma adwen foforo born again Christian for o sankrofo no ye easy pa no manfa to hu se opani bi a adwuma no wa ya che friend say etu ne fubi na futu ode man ne se ministry na se adwuma oyi we so kofa ade a we so hya ase na odeceive eye members na omoda o manu sense when deceive o man dada o ma obumbekọ asori foforo ama nkrofo ayi dada o enu nti ana most of the time na difo ne dada ye no ye kwa na difo we yakase ye kwa na difo yakase oh Pastor Mensa Otabil kan sembebre na yenko ni ntie embra pro technologies in Prudence and a boy chidom na edi Prudence abro one ne ya adwen so obetimi akire wadwen e comment section ho no ye kwa basisi.
You determine whether what somebody is saying is wise or not. Is it excellent? Is it right? Is it truthful? Is it calling us to righteousness? If it is, that's the voice of wisdom. If it's calling you to break the rules, tell a lie, bend something, one law or the other, that's not wisdom speaking. It may seem intriguing to you, but that path is not the path of wisdom. Wisdom will call you to things that are excellent, that are right, that are truthful, that are righteous. So if you want to measure on a scale whether the advice you receive is wise or not, Judge it by that. Is it excellent? Is it right? Is it truthful? Is it righteous? That's how you judge. The book of Proverbs is full of contrasts. And the chief contrast you find in the book of Proverbs is between two kinds of people: the wise and the fool. And so when you read the book of Proverbs, you find the wise man, or the prudent man, or the diligent man, and then the foolish man. You know, I don't like saying foolish in church because it feels like I'm insulting people. But it's in the Bible. So just take it, I'm quoting the Bible. Unfortunately, not everybody is wise. You find the fool, the froward, the simple. It describes two kinds of people. So I'm going to run you through that, a little bit of that, and then we would wait for tomorrow when I really talk about practically how wisdom works. Proverbs chapter 14, verses 15 to 16. The simple believes every word, but the prudent considers well his steps. A wise man fears and departs from evil, but the fool rages and is self-confident. The wise man is called prudent and diligent. And the Bible says he examines a path before following. He investigates before starting the journey. He considers the outcome before he starts. That is why successful companies and nations invest a lot in research. There is a direct link between the quality of a company's research and its output. Because the wise man considers well his path before he starts. The foolish man is the one who is raging bold without any consideration of consequences. Don't ever equate bravado for wisdom. Just because you are bold doesn't mean you are wise. I've seen a lot of bold and foolish people in my lifetime. They rush into trouble without considering the consequences. The foolish man, the Bible says, is also called the simple man and the lazy man. The word simple means childish, naive, inexperienced. The foolish man is easily persuaded by what he hears. So when he hears something, he just believes it. The foolish man looks at you with your teeth showing and he can't tell whether you are laughing, grinning, or mocking him. The foolish man looks at everybody who has his teeth out and says, "That's my friend." Appearances deceive them. They get easily hurt and destroyed. If you fall into the same trap over and over and over and over and over, may I suggest to you, you are not wise. If people deceive you over and over, if your story is, I trust people, they let me down. I trust people, they let me down. I trust people, they let me down. You are not wise. You're not wise. It simply means you're not learning from human nature. People stab you in the back all the time. There are people who always say, my best friend stabbed me. Once is okay. After that, you can't stab me because I'm going to read you 10 miles away. It is said that a good chess player anticipates about 14 moves with every move he makes. So when he makes a move, he anticipates every move you can make And then he anticipates what he can do next and what you would do and what he would do and what he would do. 14 levels. The foolish man just makes a move and prays, oh, I believe it will be well. There are a lot of foolish Christians, my friends. Foolish born-again Christians who are believers and not thinkers. You lie to them, they believe it. You deceive them. You know the Christians, born-again Christians, are the easiest people to deceive. Yeah, Pastor Gandhi says they like to be deceived. As a matter of fact, when I started ministry as a young man, I was talking to an older, I won't call him man of God, but an older practitioner. You know, the way, people who are ahead always want to advise young people. So this older guy, he had supposedly been in ministry for a long time. And he called me, he says, young man, I like you. I like the way you teach. But he says, one thing about people, they like to be deceived. And he says, you have to deceive them. Oh yeah, he told me that. He said, you have to deceive them, because if you don't deceive them, they will go to somebody else to deceive them. So deceive them yourself. That's what the older practitioner told me. Because he had learned the trade. And he had realized human beings generally don't think.
Now, Konya Miani, now show phones, so now the move here, and you pro. I make candidates, we pro, Yanika, pro. I appear. Oh, YouTube, so. And any woman to move, I don't know, security fence one, you draw there, walk on one, maybe not a situation, you move when you swap. But I want one Baba, she's a one yard, you're rough. Tell them the love woman. Yes, but I'm a young patron. To be a woofer on the way, no money for me. Me, I'm not from woman. Oh, she you're not from problem. Why? Oh, yeah, you money, now we're near and one. What do you have 24 hours, 1 month for any. Or no better than penny.
Are you serious?
Serious,
And especially when they get born again, their spirits start working, their brains freeze. There is no intelligence afterwards. So they start running. Some of you are sitting here in this nice church. You still run after a prophet and go and give all your money to him. And the next day he comes, you do the same. And the next day you do the same. Somebody is deceiving you, but you are willingly participating. Because the foolish man does not consider consequence. He doesn't sit back to analyze and say, I took that step last year. What are the results this year? Doesn't consider his ways. He's simple. He walks into traps very easily. The fool is easily persuaded by what he hears. Even when you tell him one side of the story, he doesn't wait to hear the other side of the story. One of the things you learn as a pastor very soon is that there are always more than one side to the story. When you start pastoring as a young pastor, doing marriage counseling, you listen to the wife first. You feel like this is the most horrible husband. Until you listen to the husband. Then you say that's the most horrible woman. So then your mind is going between horrible and horrible. It's not horrible and horrible. They're talking about two sides of reality. And your job is to help them to reconcile the two opposites of what they see. And if you can do that, they can resolve their issues. The fool just believes everything that they hear, including what they hear on radio. and television, in the media. If there is anything I've learned in life, never trust the media. Especially in this your great country, never trust the media. The media in your country and all over the world have discovered their power over people. And they believe they can make you go wherever they want you to go. I have learned with my life, shut the media out, go to source material, make your own conclusions. And trust your conclusions. Because your conclusions may not be popular to what everybody is saying. You have to have your own mechanism for making decisions and choices. If you just go by, he says, she says, he says, he says, oh, you'll be deceived. But wisdom is for the one who orders his way right. And let me close with it. I have 1 minute remaining. Just give me 3 more minutes and I will be through. I'll conclude with this verse. Most of you know it. Psalm 14 verse 1. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none who does good. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. It's one of those verses where you read it and you think, I know what it is saying. I used to think the passage says, the fool says there's no God. But that's not what the verse, the verse didn't say the fool says there's no God. But the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. There is a difference between saying something in your heart and saying it. All right. So what does it mean when it says the fool has said in his heart, there is no God? The fool knows there is a God, but convinces himself that there is no God. So what the passage is saying is the fool is the person who denies self-evident truth. The fool is the person who denies self-evident truth. Give you an example. Somebody goes to stand on top of what's the tallest building here in DC? Okay, you don't have a tall building, but Washington Monument. Somehow finds a way to climb on top of the Washington Monument. And he stands there and says, I don't believe in gravity. I won't die. I won't die. And jumps. He's a fool. Because everything he knows in life tells him, if it's up, it's coming down. But he feels that if he can say it enough, it will negate the reality. The fool is a person who knows the truth, but convinces himself that the truth is not true. Is the one who feels, I'm going to build, I'm going to be great, and I'm going to do it taking the lottery. Every statistic tells him he's not going to win, but he says in his heart, I believe God will make a way where there seems to be no way. The fool has said in his heart what he knows to be true is not true. The fool here is not somebody who genuinely does not believe there is a God, but the person who knows there is God but convinces himself that what he knows to be true is not true. It's called self-denial. Self-denial. And there are a lot of believers in that state of foolishness. They know there is God, but every step they take tells you they don't believe that God would do what he said he would do. You know, there are believers who believe they can lie and somehow God will still bless it. They can cheat and somehow God will still bless it. They can be deceptive and somehow God will still bless it. If they speak enough tongues, it will sanctify the lie. The fool has said in his heart, there is no God.
Oba no kunu nana no patutu mu fia no mayede de say enye wedding amenimi kunu ebo kaye na ansane ne ehunfo no de abra ya chese yemmu hwe ene na me kanfo Prudence e de amount say ene eba na live streaming ana production dia for ni chire Prudence for asoye Prudence eye dwumadi be ti say video coverage for all occasions say ye eyeyo edintuo ana ware ana birthday ana say bibia ehun behia say obenya adanse dia to obia no for ni chire Prudence for asoye no eba no photograph ana documentaries drone flight service post production media content development Lens eye dwumako a omo atete nkrofo omo abin a ombe ni nyina kama edi ama o ne nei obi hu na won sa ampa ososo 1 2 sika antu omu yankrabata ne bi wo Ghana eni amanone eni Prudence eni nkomo na bibia wo pebia no omo ntumi enye emfama so yen 0209707062 ana 0537711715 ana +14017570300 ana +14016992254 Prudence ana multimedia company